Welcome back to our channel. In the late months of 1998, the U.S. Mint was in full motion, churning out Lincoln cents by the millions. The machines clanked and hummed, presses working day and night, copper-plated zinc planchets sliding into place under precision dies. The Lincoln penny, small in size, common in circulation, continued to carry the legacy of Abraham Lincoln and the enduring simplicity of American currency. No one expected anything extraordinary from that year. After all, 1998 was supposed to be another standard entry in the long, familiar lineage of 1-cent coins. Yet, somewhere in the process, something unusual slipped through the cracks, something that would lie unnoticed in change jars and coin rolls for years before it stirred the world of collectors with an astonishing revelation. The Mint was preparing for more than just regular production. With the upcoming introduction of new designs and technology in the early 2000s, adjustments were underway behind the scenes, subtle shifts in die maintenance, machinery upgrades, and procedural refinements. These transitions, while largely invisible to the public, created a perfect storm for anomalies to arise. Most errors, if spotted, were swiftly melted down or corrected before distribution. But in the mechanical heart of the minting process, perfection isn't always guaranteed. That year, a handful of 1998 Lincoln cents emerged bearing an imperfection so subtle, so easily overlooked, it remained in the shadows for quite some time. When finally noticed, it wouldn't just challenge perceptions of the coin, it would challenge perceptions of value itself. It was an ordinary morning for Daniel Merton, a hobbyist coin collector from Iowa. A retired high school history teacher, Daniel had a passion for sifting through rolls of pennies from local banks, a quiet routine that satisfied both his love for detail and his fascination with the stories coins could tell. He developed a keen eye over the years, trained by countless evenings spent examining minute imperfections through the lens of a jeweler's loupe. But on this particular morning, in the pale light of his kitchen, one 1998 penny caught his attention in a way no other had. There was something about the obverse. Lincoln's profile, as usual, was sharply defined. But above his head, the inscription, "In God We Trust," appeared. Off. Not just in clarity, but in position. Daniel blinked, held the coin under better light, then gasped. The letters seemed doubled, as if a shadow version of the motto hovered behind the original. His pulse quickened. He flipped the coin to the reverse. Everything else seemed standard. 1 cent. The Lincoln Memorial, the familiar lines of a cent piece he'd seen 1,000 times. Yet the obverse bore an unmistakable quirk. He began researching, flipping through old coin guides and online forums. It didn't take long to find a mention, a whisper in the numismatic community, of a wide AM variant from that same year. But that wasn't the anomaly on his coin. The doubling on the obverse text, particularly the motto and the word "Liberty," matched something far rarer, a doubled die obverse. His hands trembled as he compared his find to documented images. The likeness was uncanny, and the magnitude of what he was holding began to dawn on him. In the collector world, doubled dies are coveted treasures. They occur when the coin die itself receives a misaligned impression during its creation, resulting in a duplication effect on coins it strikes. Most errors stem from misstrikes or planchet flaws, but a doubled die is different. It means the die, the tool itself, was born flawed, and every coin it struck would carry that genetic anomaly. For the 1998 penny, only a tiny fraction bore this error. And Daniel now possessed one. At first, he hesitated to tell anyone. Part of him feared he might be mistaken. Part of him feared what would happen if he wasn't. He sent the coin to a professional grading service. Weeks passed, filled with a mix of anticipation and dread. When the result arrived, it confirmed everything. 1998 doubled die obverse, graded mint state. Only a scarce number had been authenticated to date, most in worn condition. His was pristine, uncirculated, flawless. The market, at that time, hadn't fully caught on to the rarity. While a few examples had surfaced in auctions, they hadn't reached the explosive prices associated with more famous double dies, like the 1955 or 1972 cent. Yet the whispers grew louder. Collectors began to hunt. Coin roll hunters zeroed in on 1998. And with every confirmed specimen, demand surged. Prices climbed steadily at first, then with a rush of momentum that drew the attention of mainstream numismatics. 5 years later, a similar coin, though in slightly lower condition, sold for $2,500. Just months after, another specimen crossed $3,200. Daniel watched the trend, silently marveling that a cent once destined for a vending machine had become a sought-after anomaly. The price tags weren't just about rarity, they were about obsession. Collectors were willing to pay handsomely for a coin that defied the odds, a coin that managed to carry an imperfection that rendered it unique. As the years passed, another development pushed the coin's value further. In 2014, a sealed roll of 1998 cents from a Midwest estate sale yielded not one, but 3 double-die examples, proof that more of them could be hiding, undiscovered, in untouched rolls across the country. The story reignited interest, and a new wave of collectors entered the fray. Suddenly, the 1998 double die was no longer a footnote, it was a legend in the making. What made the coin's rise even more suspenseful was the confusion it caused. You see, 1998 was also known for another error, the wide AM reverse, where the letters A and M in America were spaced apart rather than touching, as they were meant to be. Collectors began finding the wide AM and thinking they had struck gold. But the real gem was rarer and far more deceptive. Unlike the wide AM, the double die required a sharp eye and patience. It did not leap from the coin. It whispered its presence. Over time, the market began to split. Some speculators chased the wide AM for its slightly higher population. Others pursued the elusive double die, knowing that scarcity would ultimately drive demand. In 2020, as coin collecting surged during global lockdowns, the value of certified mint state 1998 double die obverse cents skyrocketed. One MS68 specimen stunned the community when it sold privately for $6,800, a jaw-dropping number for a coin that once sat ignored in pockets and purses. Still, the most unexpected twist was yet to come. In early 2023, an advanced digital imaging scan performed by a numismatic lab revealed that the 1998 double die shared a peculiar alignment anomaly in its die markers. Further metallurgical studies suggested it may have been the product of a transition die, a test die briefly used during the switch in die production processes between 1998 and 1999. This meant the coin wasn't just an error, it was a remnant of an internal mint experiment. That revelation changed everything. Collectors who had previously doubted the coin's long-term potential began to reevaluate. Auction houses revised their estimates. Coin certification services began applying a unique designation to these pennies. 1998 DDR Transitional Die Issue. With that label came both prestige and provenance. It wasn't merely an error, it was a window into the internal mechanics of the U.S. Mint at a pivotal moment in its history. Daniel, now well into his 70s, watched the coin world evolve around this discovery. He was invited to speak at conferences, share his story, and inspire new generations of collectors. Yet he never sold his original find. Framed behind UV protective glass, the coin sat mounted in his study, not for sale but as a quiet testament to the power of persistence and curiosity. By 2024, prices had reached a fever pitch. A bidding war on a leading coin auction platform pushed a pristine MS69 transitional double die penny to a staggering $18,500. The numismatic world reeled. Newspapers picked up the story. Young collectors flooded online forums in hopes of finding their own 1998 oddity. Old rolls were opened. Forgotten coin jars became treasure troves. And still, not many could be found. The true population of the 1998 double die remains unknown. Estimates suggest fewer than a few dozen uncirculated examples exist. Most have long since been spent, worn, or lost to time. But their legend continues to grow, not because of what they were worth, but because of what they revealed. The year 2015 might have seemed like any other in the long history of the United States Mint, but it was a year that quietly added a fascinating chapter to the story of one of the nation's most common coins, the humble 1-cent penny. These pennies bore the familiar likeness of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and on the reverse, a design featuring the Union Shield, a symbol introduced just a decade earlier, emblematic of national unity and strength. Millions were struck, destined for circulation and everyday use, largely overlooked by the general public and even most collectors. But within that sea of ordinary copper-plated zinc coins, a small number hid a secret, one that only years later would captivate numismatists and everyday enthusiasts alike. It was in the bustling production lines of the Philadelphia and Denver mints where these coins were struck, each penny formed with incredible precision by high-speed presses. The machinery, while advanced, was not immune to imperfections. On rare occasions, subtle mistakes would slip through quality control, creating anomalies that, for a moment, disturbed the coin's symmetry. In 2015, such an anomaly emerged, unnoticed at the time, unheralded, yet destined to become a sought-after rarity. The story begins not with an expert scrutinizing a rare coin under a microscope, but rather with an avid collector on an ordinary afternoon. This collector, someone with a lifetime of experience, but always eager for the unexpected, was sifting through a pile of recently gathered change. It was routine coins from pockets, registers, and coin rolls waiting to be sorted and evaluated. Most pennies were familiar, worn with the gentle marks of circulation, faces faded slightly from years of use. Then, amidst the familiar copper glow, a single coin caught the collector's eye. Something about it was different. Perhaps it was the way the light reflected off the surface, or a faint irregularity near the date or Lincoln's profile. The collector brought the coin closer, using a loupe to peer at the fine details. It was then that the subtle anomaly revealed itself, a faint but unmistakable doubling of the date and parts of Lincoln's shoulder and jawline. A double die error, but of a nature rarely seen on such a modern coin. This discovery ignited a flurry of excitement and curiosity. At first, the collector wondered if it was a trick of the eye or perhaps post-mint damage masquerading as an error. But the distinct doubling, sharp and precise, suggested a minting mistake dating back to the original die creation process. The doubling on this coin was not the dramatic doubling seen in older classic errors, but rather a soft, ghostly shadow and echo of the design elements, hinting at an imperfection in the die's engraving. Intrigued, the collector turned to numismatic literature and online forums. To their surprise, very little had been documented about such an error on the 2015 penny. Most references focused on older, more established errors. This led to a deeper investigation involving comparisons with other 2015 pennies from different rolls, mints, and conditions. Slowly, a pattern emerged. A select number of coins bore this ghostly doubling, primarily from the Philadelphia Mint. The error, while subtle, was consistent and distinct. Word began to spread quietly among collector communities. What was initially a solitary curiosity soon gained traction, as more collectors began to search their own 2015 pennies. Social media posts, auction listings, and discussion boards revealed scattered finds, each adding pieces to the puzzle. The penny, once dismissed as merely a coin of trivial worth, was suddenly the center of a growing collector frenzy. But what did this mean for the coin's value? Initially, the market treated these error pennies as novelties. Prices hovered just above face value, with some modest premiums for well-preserved specimens. Yet, as the rarity became clearer and collectors recognized the difficulty of spotting the subtle doubling, interest grew. Coins graded by professional services as authentic double dies began commanding higher bids, though the market remained cautious. After all, the penny's reputation as a low-value coin tempered expectations. Then came a pivotal moment. A high-grade 2015 double-die penny surfaced at auction, nearly flawless, its doubling visible without magnification. Bidding escalated beyond predictions, signaling a shift in how the market perceived the coin. Suddenly, This previously overlooked minting error was being treated as a genuine rarity, worthy of serious investment. The value trajectory spiked, sparking a wave of renewed collecting enthusiasm. Collectors shared stories of chance discoveries. One person found the error penny in a roll bought from a vending machine. Another inherited a small collection containing the elusive coin, unaware of its significance until years later. These narratives added a human element to the unfolding saga, showing how chance and knowledge intertwined to reveal hidden treasures. Yet, the coin story was far from simple. Examination of multiple error specimens revealed a curious additional feature. Alongside the doubling, a faint but persistent die gouge appeared on the reverse, near the shield's lower left edge. This small raised line, barely noticeable, indicated a minor die crack or chip that had remained undetected in initial assessments. This dual error characteristic, both a doubled die on the obverse and a die gouge on the reverse, was unexpected. This combination raised intriguing questions. Was this the result of a single die's deterioration during production? How many coins bore both errors? Could the presence of the die gouge be used as a key identifier for authentic double die specimens? This complexity added layers of rarity and intrigue, further driving collector demand. The presence of the die gouge complicated grading and authentication, making expert examination essential. It also sparked debate among collectors and specialists. Did this additional error enhance the coin's value or cast doubt on its authenticity? The answer was far from straightforward. Some argued it increased desirability due to uniqueness. Others warned it might signal post-mint damage or improper striking. Adding to the drama, a surprising revelation surfaced when a leading numismatic expert discovered a small batch of these error coins appeared to have subtle differences depending on which mint produced them. While the Philadelphia minted coins displayed the doubling and die gouge distinctly, coins from the Denver Mint showed less pronounced doubling and no corresponding gouge. This suggested two parallel die flaws, making the Philadelphia variety rarer and more coveted. Collectors and dealers found themselves in a race to identify and obtain Philadelphia specimens in top condition. Authentic examples were scarce, and those with the full dual error characteristics even rarer. The market responded with increased competition and fluctuating prices. Some coins saw their value soar, only to dip as doubts about condition or authenticity arose, creating a suspenseful, unpredictable trading environment. Amid this complexity, a few coins surfaced that defied easy categorization. These showed additional, minor die cracks radiating from the primary gouge, or irregularities in the shield's details, hinting at further undiscovered minting anomalies. This prompted ongoing research and speculation about whether the 2015 penny's minting errors were part of a broader pattern or isolated incidents. Collectors, who had once treated the penny as a coin of little consequence, now found themselves guardians of a fascinating story of minting imperfection, rarity, and evolving value. Their journeys were marked by patience, excitement, and a growing respect for the unpredictable nature of coin production. What started as a subtle doubling barely perceptible to the untrained eye transformed an everyday coin into a sought-after piece of numismatic history. The 2015 penny error is a reminder that even in the age of modern minting technology, imperfections can slip through, creating treasures that capture the imagination. It's a story that continues to evolve, with new finds and discoveries reshaping understanding. Each coin tells a tale of chance, craftsmanship, and the thrill of discovery. The 2015 one-cent penny, once merely a token of small value, now stands as a symbol of hidden potential and the enduring allure of the unexpected in the world of coin collecting. The year 2005 was an unremarkable one in the vast timeline of U.S. coinage, at least on the surface. The humble one-cent penny, a staple of everyday transactions, bore its familiar visage Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse, and the Union Shield design on the reverse, which had been introduced just a year prior in 2004. This shield design replaced the previous Lincoln Memorial reverse and symbolized the nation's strength and unity, a small but meaningful change reflecting an ongoing tradition. Pennies were minted by the Philadelphia and Denver mints, quietly flooding cash registers, jars, and piggy banks alike. The minting process that year followed routine protocols, though the machinery that stamps millions of coins each day operates with precision that allows for only the rarest of flaws. Yet, errors do occur, sometimes tiny, sometimes glaring, reminding collectors and historians alike that even the most mundane object can carry secrets. It wasn't until years later that whispers started circulating among the numismatic community about a peculiar anomaly lurking on some of those 2005 pennies. At first, it was easy to dismiss. Pennies are so common, so ordinary. What could be special about a 2005 1-cent coin? But the story began to unfold when one particular collector, a seasoned hobbyist with a sharp eye, stumbled upon something unusual during a routine sorting of coins. The collector, a man known for his patience and passion, sifted through his usual batch of change. Most coins bore the familiar marks of circulation scratches, dings, the inevitable wear of time. But this one coin caught his attention. It seemed to shimmer with a slightly different luster, and on closer inspection, there was a subtle distortion near Lincoln's shoulder. At first glance, it looked like a minting error, but what kind? The collector's heartbeat quickened. This was the kind of discovery that could change a collection forever. With a magnifying glass in hand, he examined the coin under different lights, turning it slowly, seeking any clue that could explain the anomaly. The distortion wasn't random, it was a double die error, one of the most sought-after mistakes in coin collecting. A double die occurs when the coin die itself is struck twice with a slight misalignment, causing parts of the design to appear duplicated or shadowed. On this penny, the doubling was most evident around Lincoln's profile and the date, 2005. Yet, this doubling was subtle, almost ghostly, requiring keen eyes to spot. News of the find traveled fast among collector circles. Some dismissed it as an optical illusion. Others were intrigued, eager to examine coins from the same year and mint. The question remained, how many such errors existed? Was this a single, isolated mistake, or the tip of a hidden iceberg? As months passed, more specimens surfaced, each bearing the same double die characteristic. Slowly, collectors began to recognize the rarity. Unlike the mass-produced pennies that had once been worth only their face value, these error coins had begun to take on a new life. Auctions started listing them with growing interest. Prices climbed cautiously at first, the coin's value influenced not only by its error, but also by condition and provenance. In the beginning, the market treated these pennies as curiosities. A handful of dedicated numismatists placed small bets, confident in the coin's unique flaw. The value doubled, then tripled, but nothing earth-shattering yet. Rumors swirled about a possible rarity tied to the 2005 penny minting, but mainstream collectors and dealers remained skeptical. After all, the penny was notoriously undervalued. But then came a turning point. A particularly well-preserved specimen, graded by a leading numismatic certification company as near perfect, appeared at auction. The bidding war that ensued shocked many. The coin fetched a price hundreds of times its face value, sending ripples through the collecting world. Suddenly, this once overlooked minting error was a coveted treasure. Collectors who had been quietly hunting these pennies scrambled to verify their finds. Forums buzzed with discussions dissecting every detail. Was the doubling more pronounced on Philadelphia Mint coins or Denver's? Did wear affect the visibility of the error? How would this impact long-term valuation? Speculation mounted. But what made this error even more fascinating was not just the double die itself, but an unexpected twist hidden within the coin's physical traits. Unlike typical double dies where doubling appears as clear doubling of design elements, the 2005 penny error also displayed a faint but persistent die crack running through Lincoln's coat and extending toward the coin's edge. This crack was subtle, easily mistaken for surface damage, yet its presence suggested a rare die deterioration that had occurred during minting. This combination, doubling paired with a die crack, added a layer of uniqueness. Some coins bore the doubling without the crack, others showed both. The dual error raised questions about the mint's production line that year. How had this die survived long enough to produce coins with these layered mistakes? It suggested that quality control was somehow bypassed, or that the die's flaw was initially too minor to detect. The rarity of this combination made these coins exceedingly scarce. Collectors realized they were not just chasing one error, but a complex anomaly that might never be replicated again. It became a race against time and chance to find the perfect specimen, one that displayed both the doubling and the die crack in pristine condition. As the years passed, the story of the 2005 penny error deepened. Early low valuations gave way to a more volatile market. Some coins skyrocketed in value overnight, others languished as less impressive examples. The fluctuation kept collectors on edge. The coin was no longer just a piece of copper, but a narrative of imperfection and rarity, of unexpected beauty born from machinery's flaws. Collectors began to share stories of their own journeys. One recalled receiving a handful of pennies from a relative, unaware that among them was a key error coin. The thrill of discovery, the slow realization of its worth, mirrored the experience of many. Another described attending a coin show and spotting a vendor with a modest collection of 2005 pennies, the vendor unaware of the prize in his possession. Tales like these humanized the pursuit, linking generations through shared fascination. The 2005 penny error became a symbol of the unpredictable nature of collecting, a reminder that even the most familiar object can surprise, that history is layered not only in grand events but in tiny details. Each coin carried a story of manufacture, chance, and discovery. There was, however, a final twist that turned the tale on its head. After intense scrutiny and debates within numismatic circles, it was revealed that some specimens previously believed to be genuine double dies were in fact the result of post-mint damage or environmental wear, cleverly masquerading as mint errors. This revelation forced the community to sharpen its criteria, refine grading techniques, and reevaluate some coins already sold for high prices. This controversy introduced a note of caution and intrigue. Could some of the error coins be clever fakes or accidental damages? How would this affect trust among collectors and the coin's market stability? The discovery made the hunt even more thrilling. Each coin required expert examination, and no claim could be taken at face value. Collectors now knew that owning a 2005 penny error was not merely about possession, but about knowledge, patience, and a willingness to delve beneath the surface. The coin embodied the complex dance between chance and certainty that defines the collector's world. Thus, the 2005 U.S. 1-cent penny, once dismissed as ordinary, emerged from the shadows of history as a subtle masterpiece of imperfection, a treasure forged by the unpredictable intersection of technology and time. It stands as a testament to how even the smallest errors can create the most captivating stories, woven across decades and across the hands of those who cherish the unexpected.